in a reality TV show, and in this world that everybody looks public, I even seem very public. What does it look like to actually keep some things sacred? As public as I might seem, I still am very private. Like when I got married 9 months ago, a lot of people didn't even know I was in a relationship, right? So it was like all of a sudden they found out I got married, and they're like, "Wait, when was she dating anybody?" I know y'all didn't know because I was a real G who was moving in silence. Because I think it's important to also keep something for yourself in a world that is very like showboaty, and very like people are posting moment by moment of their lives, what's happening. What does it look like to still have a sacred space even as you are a public figure? So,
and yeah, given now everyone's a public figure, right?
Everybody's now public. Everybody's an influencer. Everybody's a public figure. But I'm like, you know what? Some things don't need to be shared with the world every day.
It's so smart. It's so simple.
Yes.
And yet I think that's, let me ask a question that I'm hoping to get clarity on then. If doubling down on you is the way that you stand out, the way you show up, it's the most authentic and powerful that you can be.
Yeah.
And yet you still have to reserve some aspects of yourself for yourself, and some things aren't private. Or sorry, some things aren't public. How do you reconcile those two things?
Here's the thing: is authenticity does not mean 100% loudness. Does that make sense?
For sure.
I'm truly myself, even when I'm not telling you every single thought I have or every single thing I'm going through. But if you ask me, even authenticity could even say, I'm not ready to share it. That's still real.
Yeah.
We think that authenticity means people need to know every single thing about us or everything that we're doing. No, it means that the things that we choose to share, we're being true about. You know, authenticity is being proud of who I am, and who I am is the same no matter what room I'm in or who I'm talking to. Who I am is super versatile too, right? So in one way where I am the person who's really funny, at other times I might be the person sitting in the room saying nothing much and just like observing what's happening. That's also me. And authenticity is not trying to act like I am anything but who I am right now. So oftentimes people will meet me and expect me to be bouncing off the walls because they see my energy online, but I'm really very even keel, very kind of like calm person just in general. I do have energy. My energy is more obvious when I'm talking. But when I'm just kind of like sitting there and I'm not the person that's being interviewed, I'm fine not taking up that space. So a lot of times people will think, oh my gosh, I met Levy. She wasn't high energy. She might have been funny acting. I'm like, no, I was actually just kind of enjoying not being the center of attention. I have no problem being the person just in the room that I don't have to be the one you're talking about. I don't have to be the one whose voice you're being heard. On panels, I even try to be cognizant of it, where sometimes I'm not great on panels because I will sit back and just listen. Because if I let it happen, I can dominate a space very easily. With our panel, that wasn't a problem. There's a whole lot of strong personalities on it, right?
Yeah.
But on other panels, I'm really hypersensitive to making sure that I don't take up more space than I should. So I'll actually sit back and just be like, okay, I'll make sure I'm not the first person jumping to answer every question. I'll make sure that, if I answer the last question, I'll sit this one out and let other people and have their voices be heard. So that's authenticity, in that I'm very aware, and sometimes my energy and my energy is best used being quiet.
Yeah, you don't have to be something. You don't have to live up to someone else's thing. I think that's the nugget that people get stuck in, right? It's like you're a human being. You're not a robot that only runs one program.
Correct.
I'm seeing comments right now. People are thanking you for articulating this because they feel stuck in their program. I'm aware that we're getting short on time, and there's a really cool project that I want to ask you about, which was inspiring to literally millions. And it is I saw it from afar, and then I just looked under the hood and noticed that you were a huge mover in that, and that was Share the Mic.
Yeah.
Incredible. So just I want to give you a shout out and saying that was like so crazy inspirational,
Thank you.
and it's a huge swing. And for maybe you could articulate, I think it was yourself and Bazama St. John, and some others got together. Share with us the nature of the project and the why behind it.
So Share the Mic Now was an action that I founded with Bozoma St. John, Glennon Doyle, Stacey Bendit, because we all kind of had the same idea around the same time, which was like, how do we harness the power of prominent white women at a time when people are like, what do I do? How do I make sure that I am a part of having Black women's voices be heard? So we came together and was like, well, how about if we actually let it be literal? How do we get white women who are prominent to share their mics with Black women so Black women's stories can be heard, Black women who typically would not be heard? So Glennon went to her little corner and was like, I'm going to ask the white women friends who I know who are prominent to give up their Instagram accounts. And we were like, we will ask the Black women who we trust, whose voices are amazing, who typically don't have these big platforms, to take over these accounts. In 8 days, we got 54 prominent white women to hand over their accounts to Black women who have amazing stories. And it was on June 10th. It was a complete takeover. I'm talking,
it was everywhere. It was so boss. It was the most badass move.
And here's the thing is, they gave us their passwords. So we were in their accounts. It wasn't we were sending them post to post. They literally were like, here's my password for the day. My account is yours. My Instagram account is yours. Do what you would like. And I had Sophia Bush's account. She's brilliant. I love her. So I was basically really encouraging her audience I started with who I was and like, this is who I am, and just talked about why it was important to honor who you say you are, to tell the truth. But our intention was really to magnify the voices of Black women, and for white women who want to be allies to put some skin in the game, right? To move aside for the day. And it was brilliant because the people who we matched up all the Black women with white women who we thought would be great for them to also be in relationship with. Everybody came with such open heart, open minds. It was beautiful. We learned a few lessons from it. It was wildly successful, but we learned that these platforms, the problem is still that our voices are not being heard, partly because who gets amplified is already something that's skewed. Who gets censored is already skewed, right? Who gets their posts taken down on Instagram is skewed. So we know that there's deeper work that we have to do. But Share the Mic Now was such a moment of hope for us because it showed what it looked like for sisterhood in action. For the people who said yes to us, both on the white women's side and the Black women's side, without question. It was everywhere. I think it got something like 20 billion impressions. It was nuts. But what we really want is that people who have power, once again, at the core of it is to say, like, people who have power, how can you loan your power and loan your privilege to people who don't have it? How can you actually make moves that will allow somebody else who typically would not have the platform to be heard by the people who would typically not hear them?
It was such an amazing takeover, and I didn't know that it happened in 8 days. That's even more baller. That's crazy town.
It was actually wild. I was shocked that we were able to do it. Like,
it was bonkers, and I follow you, Bazama, Roxanne Gay, Ijoma Uluo, and Brene, and Glennon, and Sophia, and Ava DeVere, and so all these people, and I had this. It was amazing, and I just want to know, how do we keep that concept? If that was a proof of concept that sharing power is powerful.
Yeah.
At the risk, I know enough to get myself in trouble, and I don't want to ask you to solve the problems that culture has presented us with, but I also want your input. Like, is there advice on how to respectfully and tactfully give up this power in the same way that you and Bazama set that up? Is there an analogy? Is there a vector? Is there a guide? Any guidance on how to continue what you all created on June 10th going forward?
The point is to center the stories and the lives of Black women, people on the marginalized fronts, like disabled people, people who are trans. Like, we want people to really figure out how to center those who are typically not. A big part of our action was to make sure that the Black women were centered. I mean, down to how we did our graphics, down to how we made sure press knew. Our graphics, the Black women came first in any of the pictures. In press, none of the white women could do press without their Black partners. Because when you start getting really intentional about the world, you will start seeing how whiteness is constantly centered, just as a default. No one even notices it anymore because it is so centered. I'll even give you an example, Chase. I'm on stages at least 25 times a year. And, a lot of times I get the over-the-ear mics. I remember doing a speaking engagement it was in San Francisco for a book festival. And I go backstage and they put 5 microphones on the desk and said, pick the one that matches you. And my jaw dropped because I was like, wait, this whole time these microphones were supposed to match my skin? I just assumed, I don't know, and it was the first time I'd ever been offered brown microphone. They were either black or tan. So they were like, yeah, pick the one that matches your skin best. And I was like, whoa, I didn't even know it was supposed to match me. So thinking about how just in the world we've moved throughout, whiteness is always centered, how you can get the Band-Aids that match your skin tone. We just got brown Band-Aids like last week.
That's crazy. I remember that in what was that, like not literally last week, maybe 4 weeks ago.
Yes.
And how long has a Band-Aid been around?
But that's privilege, right? The things you don't know about. Like, people now, there's now brown bandages. Imagine being able to have a bandage on your skin that does not pop out to say, there's a scar here. Even that. So our point of our action is to, like, how can we think through the different ways in the world where whiteness is always centered? How can we flip that? How can we, for once, make it somebody else's story the one that's important, somebody else's skin tone the one that's matched, somebody else's voice the one that's heard? So in your whatever space that you're in, start trying to think through the intentionality and being like, wait, how am I centering the person who does not have the power typically? How do we make sure the Black voices come first, the Black faces come first? How do we make sure the Black stories are coming first? Because it's so unequal, but we don't realize it because we just move through the world because this is the default. So that is what we want people to do. So think through, like, whose voice is being heard in the meeting? Can you actually make space for the intern and say, hey, I want to hear what they have to say? Can everybody hold on for a second? How do you make sure the person who is up for promotion, the 2 people who are up for promotion who are equally qualified, you're not just going with the white person because they are the culture fit, right? That's the way people get passed over on promotions all the time now. Oh, this person's a better culture fit. What does that mean? Because they went to more happy hours? Well, maybe the person who couldn't go to happy hour had to go home because they had to go relieve their babysitter and couldn't pay extra. Like, so all of this, when you start thinking about the layers of it, artificial intelligence even, how I have a hard time getting the faucet to work because it's not programmed to recognize my skin first. It's programmed to recognize yours. So I actually have to, like, spend extra time trying to get it to recognize my skin as I'm rubbing it under for automatic water. And I'm just like, okay, it's not working. Even that is something that people don't think about. Even our artificial intelligence is skewed to center whiteness. All of that in all of our spaces, we got to start thinking about and start figure out how we can undo that.
I could talk to you for another 4 hours, but I promise
this again. We clearly have to do this again.
For sure. And it's important for us to recognize that you've got a book coming out, another one, and you're definitely coming back on the show when it's time to do that. What kind of lead times are we talking about? When is this happening?
The book is actually coming out in March 2021.
Boom.
9 months.
You heard it. Well,
Y'all might have heard it first. You might have actually heard it here first. This might be the first time I'm actually publicly saying what month it's coming out.
All right. All right. I can't wait. I'm going to be working out between now and then, getting ready for that day. It was a long time coming, but I could not be more grateful for your time. We've pointed to a lot of different things with the book and your social handles, but is there anywhere in particular besides Instagram's LUVVIE? Twitter is the same, right? You're just Lovey.
Yeah, I'm Lovey. One word Lovey everywhere.
And that's with 2 V's, y'all. 1 U and 2 V's.
Because thank you for calling it out, because people love putting my name LUUV, and I'm like, bruh, no. Give me my V's, 2 for victory, okay?
Anywhere else you want to point people? Hopefully you also shared the bethedomino.com. I think we saw some folks shout that out in the comments.
Yeah.
Anywhere else you'd like to steer people before we let you go?
I'm just easy to find online. I want people to follow me, continue to, just follow what I'm up to. I'm always up to a whole bunch of things. I always have something brewing, and I am committed to continue doing the work that I need to see in the world. So I basically end up writing the books that I want to read, and I end up creating content that I want to consume. And I'm going to keep doing that with as much joy as I can, because we need more joy in this world, even though the world can be trash. And then I'll do it while wearing some cool hats from time to time. You
do crush the hat program and the shoe program. I've seen your shoes. I've been on stage with you. Shoes, 11 out of 10. Jerome says, I love this. It's my first time watching you. What's Ken, buying everything I can of yours. Creative Live, of course, want to wait for Lovey's next book. Karen, you have taught me so much. Thank you, capital T, capital Y. Thanks so much for being on the show, Lovey. Grateful for your time. And I look forward to our next one coming up here, probably in 9 months here in March.
Chase, thank you for loaning your privilege in this way by having me.
Thank you so much for being on the show. Everyone go check out Lovey, and we'll see you again, hopefully, tomorrow.
All right.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Chase Jarvis, founder and